Hello, and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast number 1834. The topic is training, and the title is How to Build Muscle When Traveling. Ooh. I was asked this question recently. The person said they travel a lot. They travel several times a month for several days at a time. And they had noticed that they had lost some muscle mass. Their pants that used to fit tightly are now kind of a little baggy. The same thing with dress shirts. They're just not feeling like themselves. They feel like they've lost some muscle. And they were wondering, what could they do? Well, I'm going to make it pretty simple. That doesn't mean I'm going to do the work for you, but I'm going to at least make it easy to understand what work to do. When we talk about building muscle mass, we want to think of two things. We want to create muscle damage, and we want to eat enough protein. When we create damage, we're creating stress to muscles. Our body, if we feed it enough protein, responds by strengthening the muscle fibers. One of the ways it strengthens the muscle fibers is to make them more robust, to make them bigger. So we want to create that need for bigger muscles. So we want to create muscle damage. And then we want to provide the material our body would need to build up the size of those muscles. So that's protein. So we want to make sure we eat enough protein and that we create muscle damage. If we can do those two things, even while traveling, then we're going to be able to maintain, if not actually build, muscle mass, no matter how busy we are. The first one we want to look at is eating enough protein. That is going to be a challenge, but it is a challenge that we can overcome. It's a challenge that a lot of people overcome and that they manage while traveling. A lot of people I work with who are physically fit, they're trainers by trade, or they just want to look good, but yet they're super busy. We do this on a regular basis. It's something that with practice, you can definitely become good at and be able to manage relatively well. When we think about what is enough protein, that's kind of the first place to start. If you're uncertain or if you've never done it before, people track the amount of protein they consume by grams of protein. So if you look at a nutrition fact label, kind of at the bottom, near the bottom of all the numbers and percentages, you're going to see protein is listed. And you'll see how many grams per serving of that food item is contained for protein. Is it 6 grams of protein? Is it 11 grams of protein? And then that helps you know how much protein is in the food you're eating. If the food you're eating doesn't have a nutrition fact label on it, you can do a quick search online if you want. You can just Google search the food item followed by the term nutrition facts, and that will show you how much protein. But we want to kind of pay attention to our protein throughout the day. How much we need, the minimum amount that I would recommend is 0.6 grams per pound of lean body weight. So let's say that you weigh 180 pounds. And you're like, okay, I look relatively lean. I'm okay with this body fat percentage. I would just like to have more muscle. Then that would be a good body weight to use. So you would look at 180 pounds times 0.6, and that equals 108 grams of protein. That is the baseline, bottom, basement, floor minimum of how much protein we would eat. Ideally, we'd like to have more than that. We would like to have closer to 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. So that would be, we'd looking somewhere between 140 to 180. I would encourage you, if you're new to this, don't aim for 1 gram per pound of body weight because that can feel very overwhelming and you're going to feel like you're failing more often than you're successful. Instead, make the minimum the 0.6 grams per pound of body weight and say, hey, if I'm getting at least that in, then I know I'm doing well. And that gives a more positive feeling, more positive motivation. And then from there, you can try to push up and, get a little bit more each day if you can. But the minimum we're looking for is 0.6 grams per pound of lean body weight. Now, what happens if you're not lean? Maybe you weigh 220 pounds and you're like, man, ideally, I would like to be 185. I think if I was 185, I might not be super shredded, might not have six-pack abs, but I would feel much more comfortable in my own skin. Maybe I'd feel more comfortable, being in, taking my shirt off at the beach. If you're a female, maybe you weigh 185, and ideally you'd like to weigh 160. And then you'd feel more confident in, maybe a two-piece bikini. So the ideal body weight or the lean body weight is what we want to use more as a reference. So in that example, say a person weighed 185, but they would feel better at 160. Then we would use the 160 times 0.6, and that gives you a minimum of 96 grams of protein that you'd want to aim for every day. So that gives us the amount. Now, how are we going to get that in? The big thing we want to do is just reduce friction. We want to make it easier to do it. One way is to take protein powder with you. This is actually what I do, is I have a protein powder container at home, and then depending on how many days I'm gone, where I'm gone, I sometimes will not take the big container with me because it's actually pretty big. It's a 4-pound container, so it's kind of a good size. So what I do is I take one shaker cup, like one typical protein shake kind of bottle, and I fill it with powder. And then I take a second bottle with me that'll be the one I use actually for drinking the fluids. So I just transfer a scoop of the powder to the empty one, mix it with water, drink it up, and I'm good to go. So I kind of take my protein powder in smaller containers because it can be kind of annoying to take the big tub or the big container with you. You could buy smaller containers for sure, maybe not financially as economical, but it does make it easier to carry with you. But protein powder is one of the best and easiest ways to do it, because that way in the mornings you wake up, you make a protein powder, kind of a protein drink to start your day, and then you're starting the day ahead of the curve. You're on track, and then as you eat normal meals throughout the day, you're probably going to end up at least at that 0.6 grams per pound of body weight goal. So I would definitely recommend a protein powder. That would be, my strong recommendation. The other thing you want to do is to know that there are protein drinks available, and they're available at common places like gas stations and grocery stores. Two that I've had clients use before. One is Core Power. Another option is Muscle Milk. And then there's actually a Fairlife milk, which is a lactose-free milk. So if you're lactose intolerant, you could look at that option. And then there are also lactose-free protein drinks that you can buy. They're called RTDs, ready to drink. They're a little more expensive than protein powders, but they're definitely cheaper or at an equal cost to buying, say, the price of a meat, per pound of meat. If a meat's $6 per pound, you'll find that the protein drinks are easily on par with that. So it can seem expensive, but it actually isn't compared to whole food protein sources that we would typically eat. So protein powder is great, protein drinks, and knowing which ones to look for when you're at gas stations or grocery stores. Again, there's Core Power, Muscle Milk, Fairlife. Those are good options. You can also get protein snacks, whether you're at a gas station or grocery store. It could be cheese sticks, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese. You can do meats. I know my wife Meredith, when we're at gas stations, sometimes they'll have rolls of a provolone cheese or some type of cheese with a pepperoni or a salami, and she'll buy those and she'll eat those. That's what she likes. So there are common protein foods and options available to us, whether we take them with us or we buy them at gas stations or grocery stores. The kind of 3 tips we want to think of to help us increase our protein intake is to know the common sources. Know foods that can provide protein. We just named a whole bunch of them. Then you want to plan when you'll eat. Okay, I can eat when I wake up. That's definitely something I can do. I believe maybe between 12 and 1, I'm going to get out of a meeting. I might have some time there. I believe near the hotel, there will be a convenience little place at the bottom of the hotel. Maybe they have, an amenities place that you can buy small foods. Maybe there's a grocery store nearby or gas station on the way. You just want to know your common sources, plan when you'll eat in the day, and then try to make sure you buy ahead of time. I usually always have a little bit of extra. Maybe an extra couple cheese sticks, in the car or carrying them with us. I'll make Meredith carry it in her purse. But we'll just have some foods with us and just kind of available on hand. So that way, if we get caught longer at a meeting than we thought, or we're out longer than we thought, there's always an option or something to have. So those are 3 tips: is to know the common sources, plan when you'll eat, and then buy ahead of time. Have a couple extra things around so that way you can get it in, because undoubtedly you're going to run into some schedule changes and chaos, and you're going to be running late transferring from one place to another place, and maybe you won't have time to stop and get something. So anytime you do have a chance to stop and get something, get 2 somethings. Have an extra thing on hand. So when we talk about, or when we think about building muscle mass while traveling, that's going to be the first thing, is eating enough protein. The second part is to create muscle damage. Now, we can do this with body weight exercises, or maybe we have access to a hotel gym or something that we can take with us, maybe some dumbbells, light machines they might have at the gym. When we think of body weight options, you can build muscle mass. You can definitely maintain muscle mass with body weight exercises. The key, or something you want to focus on, pay attention to, is you want to select exercises that create maximal challenge between 10 to 30 seconds. Sometimes when people do body weight movements and they would think, how can I really build muscle? They might be doing the movement for 60, 90, maybe 2 minutes, like 60, 90 seconds, 2 minutes, 120 seconds. They might just be doing it for too damn long. It's too easy, it's too long, it's not stressful enough on the tissues. So they might feel like they're doing more cardio than they are doing muscle building. So we want to choose exercises that challenge us between 10 to 30 seconds. One of my favorite go-tos is just alternating lunges and push-ups. It's not my favorite to do, so that's I'll be very open about that. But my favorite in regards to just ease and effectiveness is I'll do 10 lunges on my right leg, 10 lunges on my left leg. I typically do reverse lunges so I can slow the eccentric speed, the lowering speed, to make it more challenging. But I'll do 10 lunges on my right leg, 10 lunges on my left leg, and then I'll do 10 push-ups. And then I just get back up, do the lunge, push-up, lunge, push-up, lunge, push-up. And I'll do that for a 10-minute timer, maybe a 15-minute timer. That's horrendous. You're going to get plenty of a good workout doing just that. So that's an easy one that I do. You can also pair together, say, core exercises, variations of planks, and then doing thoracic movements like YTWs on the floor. If you don't know what a YTW is, you can just pause the podcast and search for that on YouTube. So YTWs on the floor. Now, when I write these workouts for all my clients, I include tutorial videos that I have links that they can see somebody performing the movement, teaching the movement on YouTube. So it is helpful to see someone doing it to learn those kind of movements. And that's actually a nice quick way to think of exercise ideas. You can just go to YouTube and type body weight workouts. And you're going to see ones for beginners, intermediate, advanced. So you can pick whichever challenge that you feel matches your abilities. But that's a quick, easy way to find some good exercises. And often those workouts are actually already pre-structured. They'll have like a 20-minute timer and they'll show you the movements and they'll just have you tell you when to switch to a different movement. So that's a great way to get in some workouts, is just using pre-made bodyweight workouts on YouTube. Then recently, one of the things Meredith and I did was there's a song by Moby, M-O-B-Y, titled Flower, and it repeats this phrasing called bring Sally up, bring Sally down. And when he says bring Sally up, you would go up in a movement, so say a squat. When it says bring Sally down, you would hold the low position, the bottom position of the squat, until they would say in the song again, bring Sally up. So you just it's like Simon Says. You follow what the song says. You can do it with squats, you can do it with push-ups, you can do it with a lot of things. It's absolutely awful in a good way, in a very effective way. Meredith and I did it once, and it was like the day, I already trained legs that day, but she hadn't yet. So I did it with her, and my legs were dying, absolutely burning up. So we did it, and it was only like 3.5 minutes. I was complaining the whole time, but in a fun way. And then she's like, well, that was good, but that wasn't enough. So we ended up doing it again, and I was like, oh my God. But it was very effective. And in less than 10 minutes, we felt good about ourselves. We got a good workout in. We got some good laughs in. So it can be something that you can have fun with, and it doesn't have to take forever. You can set it up in ways where you set a 10-minute timer, maybe you follow a song, maybe you follow the YouTube videos, but you make it where the time put into it is controlled and not overwhelming. So you don't have to do an hour-long workout when you're traveling. Very often, 10, 15, 20 minutes is absolutely plenty. Definitely enough. Now, when you're looking at weighted workouts, maybe you have access to dumbbells or machines. Again, you can use YouTube videos. Maybe you want to learn dumbbell chest exercises. Just simply type that in. And you're going to see a lot of examples. You can do dumbbell back exercises, dumbbell leg exercises. So you can find a lot of exercises just simply using a search function on YouTube. But you want to create circuits and giant sets. That's a great way to kind of stay active. What that means is you want to avoid doing an exercise where you do the movement, then you sit around for a minute or two. Then you do the movement, then you sit around for a minute or two. During that time of sitting around, you're likely to be distracted. You're likely to notice that you're low in energy. You have a million things else to do. You want to go to bed. Maybe you're tired and you wish you would have stayed in bed. So the more active we are, the better. So I usually do 2, 3, or even 4 exercises kind of back to back to back, and staying busy, staying active. The more you move, the less you'll notice that your movement is tiring and the less chance you have to be distracted. So I tend to do full body circuits. I'll do a push exercise, a pull exercise, and then a leg exercise. Pushing movements are just anything that pushes a weight away from you, which is chest presses or overhead presses. Pulling movements are anything that pulls a weight towards you, which could be rows or pull-ups or pull-downs. And then legs, it can be squats, it can be lunges, really just anything that challenges the legs. I'll tend to do those in circuits. If I know I'm going to get like one workout, but maybe not be able to work out the next day, I almost always do full body. If I get to work out on back-to-back days, then I'll break the body up a little bit. Maybe I'll just do a bunch of push exercises today, a bunch of pull exercises tomorrow, then a bunch of leg exercises the next day. So maybe I traveled for a day, I'm in a location for 3 days, then I travel again. So I can do, maybe a full body on day 1, a full body on day 3, take day 2 off, maybe, attend to what I need to while I'm there, doing odds and ends, catching up on work, things like that. But it can be done. Again, building muscle while traveling comes down to creating muscle damage and eating enough protein. So we talked about how much protein and how to get that in. We talked about some exercise options. And then 5 tips to actually just get the workouts in. The earlier the better. That's the first tip. Plan to do it as early in the day as you can. If you wait till the end of the day, you won't want to do it because you're tired. So get up early. It's better to get up early than it is to stay up late. So get up early, get it in if and when you can. Maybe you have to get it in during a lunch break, totally fine. Just anywhere the earlier in the day, the better. The second tip we have is to set a timer. Don't make it last forever. Don't make it feel more overwhelming than what it really is. You don't have to be there for 40 minutes or an hour. It can be 10 minutes. Just set a timer so that way you stay focused. And that leads into the third tip, which is to limit distractions. Don't be on your phone. Don't search social media. Don't answer emails. Try not to answer text messages. Try to stay invested into the activity. So if you set a 10-minute timer, put your phone away for 10 minutes. Put it off to the side for 10 minutes. And get after it. Stay active. Stay busy. And it allows you to do a large amount of work in a short amount of time. The fourth tip we have is to track how often you work out. Say, can I get 3 workouts this week? And then if I can, I'm going to check that off for the day. Tracking how often you work out can help build accountability. Saying, oh man, I only got 2 in last week. Can I get 3 this week? And it can also build motivation. You might look and say, hey, I've did a great job. It's Friday and I already have 3 in. Maybe I can get a 4th workout on Saturday or Sunday. So it kind of motivates you. Then the last tip, the 5th tip we have is to share the goal. One of the fun terms I heard before was an accountability buddy. So talking about accountability and then having somebody that helps you, they're an accountability buddy. So share the goal. Tell somebody else. Maybe a colleague that also travels, maybe somebody you're traveling with, maybe somebody that travels in their regular life and you're not necessarily traveling together, but they understand your goals. Maybe a family member. Just tell someone or share it on social media. I know that maybe sharing workouts on social media isn't your thing, but it can be motivating to help build up other people. To say, hey, I've been able to do this. I'm excited to tell other people because I want you to have this as well. I want you to feel better physically, emotionally, mentally, even in the chaos of life. Can you still progress yourself in your mental, emotional, and physical health? So that could be a fun motivation, is to share the goal. Okay, so that's how we build muscle even while traveling, is create muscle damage and eat protein. We talked about how much protein we need is 0.6 grams per pound of lean body weight. We want to reduce the friction, just make it easier to get it in. We can do that with protein powders, protein drinks, protein snacks. We want to know our common sources of foods, plan when you'll eat, and then if you can, try to buy ahead of time. Anytime you have a chance to get some food, get a little extra so that way you have it on hand. Then for creating muscle damage, we can use body weight options. Make sure the exercises are challenging between 10 to 30 seconds. You can find body weight workouts on YouTube. Just type in body weight workouts. And you can even type a time frame, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Then if you're looking at weighted options, dumbbells and machines, again, you can use YouTube for exercise ideas. Just type in dumbbell push exercises, dumbbell pull exercises, dumbbell leg exercises. You want to use full body workouts when you can. You want to use multiple exercises. You want to stay active and stay focused. And then our 5 tips for getting it in. The earlier the better. Set a timer. Limit distractions. Track how often you work out to increase accountability and motivation. And then share the goal. Awesome. Well, if you have any questions, if you'd like someone to talk to, I can do that for you. Right now, we're offering free 15-minute consultations. So if you're interested in working with me or you're interested in getting some help towards your goals and you're just facing some struggles and challenges and you're not sure how to overcome them, reach out. You can find the link on our website, www.brutalirongym.com. On pretty much every page of our website, at the bottom is a contact message option. So you can just type in a question and send me a message. But on our one-on-one services page, there's a link to sign up for the free 15-minute consultation. You can definitely do that. I'd be happy to chat with you, get to know you, and be able to give you some help. But you can also reach out at any time on our email is brutalirongym@gmail.com. Okay. Hopefully this was helpful. If you like the podcast, please share the podcast. If you like the podcast, please consider donating to support the podcast, which you can do on our website. If you like the information we share in the podcast, you can find more from us on our social media channels. You can find us and follow us on Instagram and YouTube under the name Brutal Iron Gym. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.